Hi class, this is Mrs. Holmes. I put this video together in hopes that the sound of my voice will be somehow more helpful than just reading the presentation alone. We'll see. So if you disagree, mute me. I'm nervous about doing this, to be honest. Anyway, so we're going to be talking about the urinary system, and which is also called the excretory system, which is specialized to get rid of waste and help maintain homeostasis. I think you probably already knew that your excretory system helps get rid of waste. That's given in the name too. But maintaining homeostasis is one of the main organs that kind of does that, because it's also not only maintaining homeostasis by getting rid of toxic things, but also by maintaining our water balance and electrolyte balance. So let's get started with the main organ for the maintenance of all these things is the kidneys. That's the main organ for the excretory system. Your kidneys are fairly small. They fit in your hand if necessary. They're about 5 inches long, 2.5 inches wide, and 1.5 inches thick. And they lay on either side of your spinal cord, on either side of your vertebrae, between the 12th thoracic and the 3rd lumbar vertebrae on either side. And they are retroperitoneally located, which means that they are behind the peritoneum, which is the lining of the abdominal cavity. The abdominal cavity, remember, is a whole lining, a bag that contains your digestive organs, including the accessory organs like your liver and pancreas and all that. And behind it, there's muscles and kidneys. And on top of the kidneys is, of course, the adrenal glands. We talked about those before. The kidneys are shaped like kidneys. The lateral surfaces, the outside facing surfaces, are convex, and the medial surfaces are concave. So, that's why kidney beans are shaped that way, or called that. I don't know which came first, the bean or the organ. The inner part of the inner concave curve is called the hilum of the kidney. They are covered in what we call a renal capsule, which is kind of a thicker skin covering for each kidney. And one kidney is usually slightly higher than the other. They're not, usually exactly the same on either side. Usually one is used more than the other also. The outer layer, so when looking inside them, the outer part of it is the cortex, just like the outer rind of your brain is the cortex, where most of your thinking is taking place, and then the inner part is the medulla. The same with the kidneys. The inner part is the medulla, which is made up of these pyramids and columns, which I'm going to show you here. So the renal capsule is covering around the outside, this little thin covering. By the way, the adrenal glands would be up here somewhere. This lighter pink color, which is made up of, this is where all the nephrons are. We'll talk about that in a minute. But the nephrons, and there's another whole video I want you to watch about that I didn't make. It's better. The nephrons are located in the cortex. And then this is the medulla, this whole region here. And so each of these somewhat triangular pieces are the renal pyramids, and then the columns between, and each of them kind of ends in a calyx, or calyces is plural. This whole inside is the renal pelvis, kind of pelvis shaped, and this inner part of the kidney, like you could see on this over here, is the hilum, and then it connects to the ureter, which is just shown cut off here on this real human kidney as well. So we have some of the structures of the kidneys. This isn't in the notes there, but the nephron, I just want to point out that this is a microscopic structure of the kidney. This is where all of the actual filtration is going on. It's really cool structure. And this is where the Bowman's capsule is this capsule around it that is also, and more correctly now, called the glomerular capsule. And inside the glomerulus is a ball of capillaries. And so each of these millions of nephrons that you have in your body, or 1 million or so in each kidney has a whole glomerulus, a Bowman's capsule, and then this whole set of tubes, all these tubes for secretion and reabsorption, and that is what's helping us to maintain homeostasis. More on that to come, like I said. So back to the kidney information. They are supplied with blood by the renal arteries. We looked at those when we talked about the circulatory system, and they're drained by the renal veins. And even though they are relatively small organs, they receive a large portion of our blood because they are filtering our blood. They're helping the whole body in that way. And it is, so the kidneys are very well supplied with blood. The functions of the kidneys are to help regulate the volume, the composition, and the pH of your body fluids, and they help remove the metabolic waste from your blood and dilute them to form excess urine and to excrete it. So, and we know that that goes to the urinary bladder. We're getting there. To get to the urinary bladder, they have to get through some ureters. Here's another view of a human kidney. Again, we have cortex and then medulla. Sorry, clicked ahead. The ureters are, again, those tubular organs about 10 inches long. I don't know why I put this in inches instead of centimeters. It's closer to 25 centimeters. And it varies by individual person. As you can kind of see in this diagram down here, the lumen inside the ureter is really small and narrow. It's only holding a liquid. It's one reason why it's really painful to have a kidney stone, or calculus they call them, because they are hardened mineral deposits that happen in there. So the beginning of the ureter, it starts from the renal pelvis, and which is kind of the funnel at the top, and it goes all the way down to the bladder. It has 3 layers. There's the inner mucus coat, or mucosa, the middle muscular coat, because they do engage muscles to contract and push by peristaltic movement, push the urine out through down into the bladder. And then the outer fibrous coat, which helps sort of lightly tether them to other organs, although we can see in this picture, we can see that this is shown it's an X-ray with contrast injected. So you can kind of see the shape of the kidney, you can see the whole calyx and the renal pelvis, and then the ureter, and you can also see the bladder where the urine is stored. You cannot see the urethra because this X-ray was taken while someone was not urinating. And as I just said, peristaltic movements help move the urine down through that. So that's why you can still be filling your bladder even if you're not standing upright. So the bladder then, where the urine ends up, is a hollow distensible muscular organ. And there's some differences between males and females because of our reproductive anatomy. So in the males and in females, it lies in the pelvic cavity against the parietal peritoneum. But in females, it's underneath the uterus, kind of between the uterus and the pelvic cavity. So, and in this, you can see some of the layers of tissue that are in there. The floor of the bladder, as you can kind of see in this, in here, there's the trigone. There's the 2 openings for the ureters that have come around from underneath, and then one for the urethra. It is easier to allow urine to flow out when upright, but not only, but also. Anyway, the wall of the bladder is 4 layers. It has an inner mucus coat because that's to protect, the tissues below from those wastes and other things that are in, and usually concentrated amounts of some of the electrolytes and things. And then there's a submucosa coat, the layer below that, and there's also a muscular layer and you probably already knew your bladder was muscular, and the serosa. We talked about some of the things about the tissue when we did the epithelial tissue lab. It's a transitional epithelium lining the bladder that the cells can sort of slide past each other so that it can easily become a large enlarged sac, and also can become very small while still like maintaining a layer of lining. So that's kind of a cool feature of it too. And that's why it can hold as much as about 600 milliliters, which is kind of a lot. But most of us feel the need to eliminate remove the urine when it's only at about 150 milliliters. And in this picture, you can also see the differences between where the male and female bladders lie, and the track out of the bladder from the urethra. There's some differences there. In the male, it's 3 different parts. There's in the male, there's the beginning, there's the membranous part, and then there's the spongy part of the urethra as well, and the prostatic at the top, so that they, and both of them allow urine to exit the body. So, and again, I just said in males it's 7 to 8 inches long, and then divided into those 3 parts, and in females it's only a couple inches long. And we know what happens to the urine after that. It goes out into the world. And that is the end of our notes today. It was hopefully a pleasure talking to you. Anyway, see ya.